He came to Nashville with a dream of being a musician, but would wind up landing a record deal.
Played him 2 #1 songs on the acoustic guitar just in his office. And the next thing I know, I've got a writing deal, and a couple months later, I've got a record deal, and it happened just like that.
In 2011, he received news no one wants to hear, a cancer diagnosis.
Dr. Berlin fought for my life, literally. They decided on his word to go ahead and try several surgeries, a lot of chemotherapy. I'm still clear to this day.
Thank God.
It's a miracle, truly a miracle.
Today, Wade Hayes is cancer-free, living his life and making new music.
'Cause truly, old country still rocks. It still fires me up like tequila shots. You're doing to me. I'm old enough to know better, but I'm still too young to care. What I meant to say was, I love you.
Well, from the John Deere stage in Nashville, Tennessee, welcome to On the Record. And the man you saw right there is the man that is joining us for this entire half hour, Mr. Wade Hayes. So good to see you. It has been forever.
It has been a minute.
It has.
It is so good to see you too.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, you have not changed a bit. I don't know how you do it.
I said the
Haven't
same
changed
thing
a
to you.
bit.
I just say, listen, it's called good living, right? I think
Is
that Tennessee living? Being out in
maybe
the country
so.
maybe a little bit?
Maybe so.
Yeah. Old enough to know better. We saw that video there, of course, taking us back. I can't believe 1994.
That came out at the tail end of '94. It was a #1 song in February of '95. And that was the most exciting time of my entire life. Just unbelievable.
You know, right out of the gate. It doesn't happen. When you release your first single and it goes all the way to the top, pretty much hold on tight situation for you?
It was, you wouldn't believe, every day was a white knuckle situation for me back then. I was from a very, very small town in Oklahoma called Bethel Acres, Oklahoma. Went to the same school from kindergarten through 12th grade. Had been out of the state maybe 3 times in my entire life before I moved to Nashville. And then it was like a rocket ship. Every day, almost instantly when I moved to Nashville, it was just incredible seeing all these wonderful things, meeting all these interesting people, writing songs, and it was mind-boggling.
I want to take us back since you mentioned it. Bethel Acres, Oklahoma.
Yes.
What kind of kid was Wade Hayes? Were you into sports or was it always music for you?
I wanted to be in sports, but I really didn't have what it takes.
What was it for? What kind of, were you like a baseball guy?
Baseball, yeah. I was good some days and awful some days. I could never figure out what the deal was.
Enter your father. Was it through your dad finding your love of music?
Yeah, my dad had always had a band, and had a bluegrass band when I was a little bitty baby, and then country. And I grew up always wanting to do that. And I had started off playing mandolin when I was very young, and then moved on to guitar when I was about 11. And started playing in honky tonks full time with him when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. You would think that probably isn't the best way to raise a kid, but you know what? My dad always knew where I was, and I was always with him, always stayed out of trouble, kept my grades up, so it actually worked out pretty good.
Your father was so serious about music. I don't know if a lot of people know this, that you moved to Nashville because he had a record deal. Yeah.
When I was early teens, around maybe 12 years old or so. I'm trying to remember. I think, but anyway, Dad had like this new indie label that was trying to start up. They'd offered him a deal, so he moved the family to Nashville. And things kind of got rough really quick, so we ended up moving back to Oklahoma. We were here less than a year.
Wow. And by rough, you mean that label shut down?
Yeah, it shut down,
and it was just not
the economy was tanking, and it was a really, really difficult time for everybody. And it was tough to go back home that quickly, but we made it through it, and for some reason, I didn't get it out of my system then. So.
Was your father so excited to see you wanting to pursue it?
He never really said. I knew something was up when I had been through 4 years of college, and I had been paying for it myself and getting the scholarships and grants, however, hook and crook, however I could do it. And I was sick of it. I'd been in college 4 years and knew that wasn't where I needed to be.
What were you studying?
Well, business administration mainly, yeah. And I didn't know that's a very, very difficult age for young men, for young people in general, but especially on the boys. I think we're expected to kind of know what we're doing, and I had not a clue. But I knew I loved music, and I knew that it meant more to me than it did most of my friends. I'll never forget, I tell this story a lot, the defining moment when I decided to do this for a living is, like I said, I'd been in college 4 years and had no idea what to do. And I saw the CMA Awards, and Ricky Skaggs, it said, all you young performers out there that are struggling, you need to stick with it because that's what you're called to do.
Wow.
When he used that word, he spoke to me. I felt like he was speaking to me specifically. And I started making preparations literally the next day to move to Nashville.
You gave me goosebumps in that story because I'm thinking of the impact that an artist has, the impact that you have right now, like some young kid watching and going, I want to do what I want to be sitting where you're sitting, doing what you're doing.
I'll tell you what, it's one of those things when he used, and I didn't realize it at the time, but when he used the word called to do, it's not what you want to do. Although you do, but it's more than that. Music, to me, I was trying to tell somebody the other day that music is not a job. It's not, just an occupation. It's who I am. You're a songwriter or a musician, and you do it on the professional level because it's who you are.
And I've said that from the get-go. There are certain artists, and artists will come in here and they go, it's what they do. And there are certain artists that you come in and you see and you go, it is who they are.
Yeah.
This is what they would do no matter what the success, no matter what the commercial success and hearing themselves on radio. This is it.
You nailed it right on the head when you said no matter what. If I were doing another job, I would be doing this at some capacity somewhere.
Wade Hayes, our guest. You guys want to stay with us. A lot more here on The Record. We're going to find out about that move to Nashville and how you hooked up with some big-time players in this town. Stay with us. More next.
Coming from where I came from, it was such, a small place, and all of a sudden I'm meeting these people that I've seen their names on countless albums.
On a good night, I can put on my hat, head down to the honky-tonk dance. But on a real good night, I meet a woman like you.
Welcome back to you on The Record, spending time with Wade Hayes, and on a good night. Love that song. Boy, that was Title Cut sophomore album, 1996.
Yes, great memories. And that song in particular, that was, back then we didn't have just the one chart. We had Billboard, we had R&R, and we had Gavin.
Gavin, I remember Gavin.
And we had, that song was the #1 on all the charts except Billboard. And it was a big song for us, and we still get a lot of requests for that. I play it every night. It's still a blast to play and see people enjoying themselves.
Just a great live song.
Yeah, it is. I like the up-tempo. That was kind of my thing, was the up-tempo rock and country stuff. It was still unmistakably country, but it had an edge to it.
Absolutely. And as before the break, we were talking about you making the move to Nashville, having these hit songs.
Yeah.
What led you, here you are. Did you have people that you knew, or you kind of, listen, there was no Instagram, right? So you're playing clubs and you're probably playing some songwriter events, just trying to get your name out there.
That's exactly what happened. I knew one guy here, a guy named Jamie Richards, and he was from my hometown as well. And he had some record label people here watching him, and he asked me what kind of got the whole thing in motion. He had asked me to come play lead guitar for him on a showcase that he was doing for a record label. And so I did. And that's, believe it or not, that's what I moved to Nashville to do. I was not supposed to be the guy in the center of the stage. I was going to be the Don Rich to somebody. I was going to be somebody's, right-hand man. That's what I dreamed of doing.
Don Rich was this legendary, really kind of created that Bakersfield sound, right?
He was Buck Owens' right-hand man, and he was a stud. Great musician, great singer. He was just very cool. Everybody loved him.
So musicianship really kind of led you to becoming, where
I played lead guitar for my dad in his band, and that's what I was used to doing. That's where I was comfortable. And I've played lead guitar for Randy Owen when he did a solo project, and I enjoyed that immensely. It was a wonderful experience.
Being part of the band. You know who I've heard? I've heard Keith Urban say that. I've heard Vince Gill say that. They love being part of the band.
They're exactly right.
That's amazing. I have to ask how you got signed to your deal. I mean, what was the catalyst for that moment of signing with Columbia?
Well, it all stemmed from that showcase I was playing for my friend Jamie Richards, and so there were some record label people there, and some people in the audience said, "Who's this guy over here?" The piano player, a guy named David Hoffner, was friends with Chick Raines.
Great songwriter who we lost last year.
Chick was my mentor here in Tennessee, and that's how the whole thing got started.
Chick Raines, of course, old enough to know better.
Yes, he and I wrote that song, and I'm Still Dancing With You. We wrote together the first two number ones. So.
He kind of was the catalyst to meeting your producer?
Yes, and Chick Raines and Don Cook were best buddies. We were writing these songs immediately together and realized something was going on, and he took me to Don, and I went to meet Don at Tree Publishing. It was Sony Tree back then, and played him two number one songs on the acoustic guitar just in his office. And the next thing I know, I've got a writing deal, and a couple months later, I've got a record deal, and it happened just like that.
I can't imagine.
It was crazy.
Walking out of that office in that meeting.
It was.
You call family?
Yeah, it was the most exciting. It was surreal. Coming from where I came from, it was such, a small place, and all of a sudden I'm meeting these people that I've seen their names on countless albums.
Yeah.
Have written this song and produced this act, and it was just unbelievable.
We look at notable celebrities in Bethel Acres, Oklahoma. It is Wade Hayes.
The one and only,
I mean, family, and you call back and say, I got a deal. I mean, your father, your family, they had to be all beside themselves.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was surreal. The first time I heard Old Enough to Know Better on the radio, I realized this is happening.
This is the real deal.
Crazy.
Yeah, they always say, at that top, right, when you're just riding that wave, it's hard to remember. It goes by so fast. You really don't get to enjoy it while it's happening.
You're exactly right. It was too much. It was too much for somebody who had been, coming from that background. I wouldn't say sheltered in a bad way, because Bethel was a great place to grow up. But we were country kids, and we were not exposed to anything like the other kids were. So this was it was too much. It was too much to take in at the time. And you're right, there was a lot of it that I do not remember. And I wish I could have absorbed it a little better, because it was just too much.
So many hits, so many albums from Columbia, Monument, Independent. I have to bring up, in 2011, a lot of people know your story.
Yes.
Getting stopped in your tracks, something that nobody ever wants to hear.
Yeah.
You heard those words from your doctor. Shocked. You have cancer.
It's an incredible time, and I still, every weekend, I'm talking to somebody about cancer. We were talking backstage. It's part of my job now to talk to people. My life was spared for a reason. I'm still trying to figure that out, because when I was initially diagnosed and they found out how bad I had it, they were going to put me in comfort care. I had it that bad. And we were talking about Don Cook. He told Kix Brooks, from the hit duo Brooks and Dunn. Everybody knows Brooks and Dunn, but Kix is a wonderful man. And Kix found out that I was sick through Don, and Kix took me to Vanderbilt. And I met a brilliant oncologist named Dr. Jordan Berlin. And initially at Vanderbilt, they were going to put me in comfort care as well. And Dr. Berlin fought for my life, literally. And they decided on his word to go ahead and try his route. And several surgeries, a lot of chemotherapy. And, but, that was 11, and it took me well into 13 before I was clear of cancer, but I'm still clear to this day.
Thank God.
It's a miracle, truly a miracle.
And changed after something like that.
Yeah, and I tell everybody that God has made it painfully clear. He's the reason I'm still around, because it was nothing short of a miracle. When you've got two different hospitals going to put you in comfort care because you have it that bad, and then you make a full recovery is just unbelievable. And I thank him every day for it.
Well, I thank him every day for it as well. I'm so
Yes.
glad this man is here. Wade Hayes with us here on the record. A lot more. We got to talk about the brand new album.
Yes.
Boy, this is, it sounds like a labor of love. And fans,
Love.
if you haven't heard it, you are going to love it. We're going to talk about that and a performance from this man in the studio when we come back on the record.
No matter live a high five or beat up old jukebox, old country still rocks. Old country still rocks. No matter live a high five or beat up old jukebox, old country still rocks.
Welcome back to On the Record. I'm Suzanne Alexander, our guest here, Wade Hayes, and you just saw Old Country Still Rocks. That is a new video for the title cut of your new album. Hey, before the break, we were talking about all that you had been through and just kind of a new perspective on life. You are living out just kind of outside of Nashville, a lot of land, and you have your own cattle. Can we call you a cattle rancher?
Cattle baron, if you don't mind. I prefer that, really, but no.
I love it. You're enjoying it.
Yeah, I love to watch them. It's comforting to me.
Yeah.
And when we have new babies, we just had a crop of babies, and I love to watch those little guys running. It just makes me happy. So
yeah, living your best life.
Trying to.
Yeah. This new album, of course, it sounds like this was a labor of love. And I got to tell you, it is so great to hear these songs. I don't know, though, how you got to choose what you chose. How difficult was that in the process?
It was extremely difficult. And I could have done 2 more albums. Each song on this album has a reason that it's there.
Yeah.
And they're not just songs that I love, but there's a reason for them. And there are some more obscure songs from the past that people might not recognize immediately. But there are also some hits on there that were big hits in the past. So
Haggard, Conway,
Yeah.
Keith Whitley,
Yeah.
George Strait, Johnny Lee, who you
Yes.
played guitar for all those years ago.
Yes, my very first job when I moved to Nashville was playing lead guitar for him. And we're still friends to this day.
Patty Loveless, Here I Am.
Oh,
When I
I
heard
love
you
Patty.
sing that, and I said, oh my God, that stopped me in my tracks.
I love Patty. I have for many, many years. And we have the same manager now. But back then, Dawn Cook thought that it would be neat for her to come. I'd never met her, but of course I loved her music. And he had her come in, and that's the first time I met her, and I've just been a fan of hers more so ever since.
Talking about Old Enough to Know Better, on that album, she sang Kentucky Bluebird with you, and
That's right.
boy, it'll give you chills to hear that.
And a lot of people that didn't know that, once they hear it is her and they listen to it, you can tell immediately that's Patty singing. So
Well,
she killed it.
This song, the title cut, encapsulates all that you love and all that you feel.
Yeah, this song, I wrote this song, and I thought, immediately when I got it done, I thought, I'd always been wanting to do a record of covers and didn't know exactly how to approach it. But when this song was finished, it just all came together. And knew I wanted to put, this is the only original on the whole album, and the rest is covers. So.
Can you perform it for us?
I'd love to.
That's why he's got his guitar.
Yeah.
We say that. He's got his guitar in his hand. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to have you grab that mic over there.
Yeah.
I love when we have our guests actually do the work for us here. Old Country Still Rocks. I'm talking about Wade Hayes in studio, on the record. Here it is.
I grew up on Wayne, Willie, and Haggard. That hardcore country sound is all to me that matter. I sure love both Cephas and Strait. Like Yoko, the sound of great. You must admit that music had the swagger. We throw down every now and then. I like to get down with all my rowdy friends. We'll put on Loveless, Lawrence, and Brooks and Dunn. Chestnut and Diffie, get it done, son. We'll fire it up and let the party begin. truly old country still rocks. It still fires me up like tequila shots. No matter live or hi-fi or beat up on jukebox, old country still rocks. Old country still rocks. They still play it at our favorite bar. We got the Wheeler's Roadhouse and prime for your trucks and cars. We got the country classics and opera show. Our own stations on the radio. Must be a reason we're everywhere we are. Sure is. 'Cause truly old country still rocks. It still fires me up like tequila shots. No matter live or hi-fi or beat up on jukebox, old country still rocks. Old country still rocks. Ain't nothing against the new stuff, y'all. Some I like a lot. Old country still rocks. Old country still rocks. It sure does.
I love it.
Fun.
Old Country Still Rocks, the title
sure
cut of the
does.
brand new album that you just recorded, and of course, covering some of that old country. Listen, man, there was just something about those songs. And I love that you said, listen, no offense to that new stuff right
That's
now.
exactly right. Yeah, the young folks out are so talented and gifted and just blow my mind daily. So there's certainly nothing against that. Just, I love the old stuff too.
But boy, when you hear Conway and you're doing Slow Hand
I love the Conway.
and doing Keith Whitley, just so much great. And it sounds like you had a blast in the studio, the production on this. And I had to say, I have to tell you, listening to you, I mean, you sound a little bit like Waylon. I feel like you're using that vocal, even Conway in Slow Hand.
They were such big influences on me, and that's literally all I listened to. That's all I cared to listen to when I was young.
Talk about the guys playing in the studio with you on this one.
Gosh, there were some very, very talented people. Lonnie Wilson, who has played on countless hit songs, written countless hit songs, was on drums and helped me produce it. Let's see, Dave McAfee and Dink Cook, those guys play for Toby Keith. And they're lifelong, or since I've been in Tennessee, they play music with me a lot. They're on the record, just so many. Megan Owen is on there. She's great.
Megan, I love Megan, yeah.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Great fiddle player.
That song, Milk Cow Blues on there, an old Bob Wills tune, we've been doing that live for, 2 decades.
I love it. People going to see you out on the road? 2024?
Yes.
Yeah.
24 is shaping up to be one of the busiest years I've had in a decade. So
Looking forward to
very,
seeing you
very
on the road.
excited. Yeah,
Wade
everything's
Hayes,
good.
what a pleasure. You look incredible.
You
I'm
do
so
too.
glad you're doing so great.
Well,
And
I
I'm
appreciate
glad
that.
This guy, just the best. Again, new album. Everybody check it out. Old Country Still Rocks. From the John Deere stage in Nashville, Tennessee, this has been On the Record, Wade Hayes.